Quick release systems make switching between tripod, camera strap, your back strap, and even your belt pretty quick and easy, which is why, especially if you're a content creator that's oftentimes on the go, important to have such a system. But there are quite a few of those systems out there, actually 3 to 4, which doesn't necessarily make it easy to decide between some of them. But luckily, at least parts of those systems are compatible with each other, which means that you can actually build a pretty solid one and save quite a bit of money while doing so, which is why I want to make this video here. I will show you all those systems, including all the accessories, so that we can figure out which one of those are the most compatible, and also which ones I can recommend, and not just a whole system, but actually which parts of every system I can recommend, so that you can essentially build your own, save quite a bit of money, and get the best of everything. And to be transparent here, I started investing my own money into the Peak Design system about 4 years ago and bought more and more stuff over the years, so there I paid the full price always. But PGYTech, Ulanzi, and Freewell, so all the other systems here, have been sent to me by those companies, and I'm going to keep them just so that I can make this comparison video here. But none of those companies pays me. In fact, this video does not have a sponsor at all. I don't receive any money for doing that, which I think is fair. It kind of levels the playing field here. So when it comes to those systems, we essentially have two parts always. There is the camera plate, this one here, or I will call that camera plate in this video. And you always have the clamp that can be, for example, here a tripod clamp, that can be a capture clip, for example, and also a strap clamp, camera strap clamp, because that's always where the camera plate goes inside. So if I refer to camera plate in this video, then now I always mean the plate that goes under your camera here. And if I refer to clamp, you always know it's the part where the plate comes inside. And we do have to start with the camera plates when it comes to those systems, because this ultimately is what makes everything compatible. Like if you buy a camera plate that is not compatible with any other part of those systems, either with your capture clip, with your strap holder, strap clamp, or your tripod clamp, then you will have problems. And here I want to make that very quick actually, because there's only one camera plate that fits all other systems, and that is the Ulanzi F38 camera plate in the Peak Design compatible version. Like there are two versions of this clamp. By standard, you usually get the normal F38, which works with most systems. But when it comes to the Peak Design capture clip, then the standard version would not work for that. You would have to get the Peak Design compatible version. But this is only for the Peak Design capture clip. This is not for the other Peak Design stuffs. Like when it comes, for example, to the Peak Design travel tripod, there even this one fits inside. So I think we can make it really easy here. When it comes to camera plates, the only plates that you should buy are the Ulanzi F38 Peak Design compatible plates, just for that reason, because aside from the compatibility, those plates do all the same. Like they're all made out of metal, go under your camera, they last very long, so there is not an actual difference. And if F38 camera plates are not available from Ulanzi in your area at all, then the next one I would look for are the Freewell camera plates, because they are also pretty much compatible with most of it. You will see that later in this video. And if that is also not available, then I would go for the PGYTech camera plate, because that's also widely compatible, just not as wide as the F38 plate. There's one little quirk with the PD compatible F38 plates though, which is that you can only fit them in the Peak Design capture clip in one direction. Like if I fit it like that in here, then it works. But if I try to fit it 90 degrees turned, then it does not really, like it fits inside, but doesn't really lock in, can still get it out. So that's the only quirk really, but aside from that, the F38 camera plates are perfect. They just work with everything. So I think that makes the decision for your camera plate very easy. Let's come next to the tripod clamps. There are essentially two versions of those tripod clamps. There are first integrated ones. It's for example here on the Ulanzi F38 tripod. There the tripod clamp is already integrated into the head. And this is usually what I prefer when it comes to tripods because it is the most secure way. Like here on the Ulanzi, for example, also on the Peak design, it's like when I have my camera in there, I can literally wear it over the shoulder or carry it over the shoulder and the camera won't fall down. It's perfectly secure. While if you have a tripod like the Freewell one here and you want to use it with one of those systems, you would have to mount that into your tripod like as if you would usually mount your camera in there with any other tripod or with a cage or whatever. And that means when I carry that now over my shoulder or I move the camera around or so, and this is not perfectly in place. Like maybe you got a bit of rumbling going on your motorbike or so, and the screw gets slightly loose, or maybe you didn't tighten the screw perfectly in the first place, which happens sometimes, then it can still fall out. And that's why if it's not integrated into your tripod, it's not perfectly secure. I also made another video about my favorite travel tripods that are compatible, at least some of them, with those systems. You will find a link to that video in the description below. There you will learn more. And in this case, you would have to go for the other version, which is the non-integrated or external tripod clamps, like this one here from Ulanzi or so. And the plate that I can recommend the most for that is the PGYTech tripod clamp here, because this one is the most compatible again. Like this clamp does also work with all other systems here, and it also works with Arca Swiss. If you don't know what Arca Swiss is, this is essentially a system that contains of the same size of those plates here, but the normal Arca Swiss plates are usually not square, they are just rectangular, they are a bit longer, and they oftentimes come with tripods and stuff. Like here, for example, on this tripod from Seray, you find that it's on top here, like there it's a bit longer. It would still, like those plates here would fit on that tripod, but this plate from this tripod would, for example, not fit in some of those tripod clamps here. So that's why I like the PGYTech one, because as you can see, when I unlock that here, that fits all of those plates like Ulanzi, Freewell, PGYTech obviously, would be bad if it wouldn't fit, and also the Peak design system, but it also fits the normal longer Arca Swiss plates because it's open to both sides and it still has a secure locking mechanism. So if I, for example, put even the Ulanzi one now in here, the F38, so snap that in, make it tight, it doesn't go anywhere. And even when I don't make it tight, it's still safe. Like even if for whatever reason, let's say I carry my camera over the shoulder and I suddenly like scratch my shoulder with that or so it gets loose again, the camera would not fall out. So that's why I think that overall the PGYTech is the best system. And talking about the other tripod clamps, you have at first the Ulanzi Falcam F38 here. And this one is the least compatible of those systems because literally nothing else fits inside. It's a little bit tighter than the others. So you need F38 plates to fit this system, all others don't work. But aside from that, it's actually quite nice. Like you have lots of threads here under it. So there are different ways to mount that on tripods, which makes it really secure. So like if you only use the F38 system, and obviously that's your choice, but if you want to go for something more compatible, I would not choose that. I would go for the PGYTech then. And we also have from Ulanzi the UKA tripod clamp here, which like functionality wise I like a bit more because, as I mentioned before, like it wraps around the camera plate perfectly, so it really cannot go anywhere. It's literally the safest system you can use, that it doesn't snap out and your camera falls down. But aside from that, there's nothing extra, and it's also not as compatible as the PGYTech. And then we're also having the Freewell one here, which is actually very similar to the UKA from Ulanzi. But I have to say I like the Freewell a little bit more than the Ulanzi one, the UKA, because when I snap the plate in there, the little lever that holds it into place snaps more over the camera plate, what means that it's even more secured. And again, like it wraps around it completely, so it's not going anywhere. So really safe system, but also comes with the downside, it's not as compatible as the PGYTech one. And when it comes to Peak Design, they don't have such a tripod clamp, but they do have a tripod clamp on their tripod integrated. So it's not that you can buy it separately from Peak Design, you have to buy it, or you get it with a tripod directly. And I have to say, this is also a very good system because it's just as compatible as the PGYTech. Like you can literally fit every plate on there, and it's also ArcaSwiss compatible. So I would choose PGYTech now here as mentioned, just because of compatibility, and it's still pretty safe. It might not be as like 120% safe as the UKA and the Freewell one here, but yeah, I think overall PGYTech wins in that regards. And I think the next one is where it gets a bit more interesting. This is the capture clips. They have different names from PGYTech, Ulanzi and Freewell, and they all work the same essentially. Like you can attach them to your backpack straps, the shoulder straps, and you carry your camera. But not only that, you can also attach them to your belt and put the camera in sidewise. And when it comes to those, it gets a bit more complicated. Like if you're talking about the original Peak Design one here, this is not compatible with the camera plate from the PGYTech one. So you see, like I just can't even fit it inside. And when it comes to the Ulanzi UKA camera plates, they do fit inside, yes. You have to work it a bit, like press it a bit, but it's very easy that they come out again. Like you really have to lock it completely off, that it does not. So they kind of fit, but not perfectly. It's a bit inconvenient. So that's why like the Peak Design system is not that compatible actually. And even with the F38 Peak Design compatible camera plate from Ulanzi, it is that you have to insert it or mount it to your camera in the right direction. Like here it says in a small text for PD capture, and this is the direction that it goes in. So here you see it goes in perfectly. If you mount it under your camera in the wrong direction, then you see it would go out again. It becomes more of an issue though if, let's say for example, sometimes you carry your camera on your camera bag, because then the camera points down, and then maybe on other days or later on the trip you want to switch to your belt, because then the camera does not hang down anymore, but you put it in sidewise. And that means that you would have to rotate the camera plate under your camera by 90 degrees, which in my opinion defeats the purpose of a quick release plate. Like I don't want to mount there anything, I just want to put it everywhere without having to do any adjustments. But I have to say, it's a good one. I used this one here I think for probably 1.5 or 2 years now. Like I had the older Peak Design capture clip before, and I never had any issues with those capture clips. So they're overall good quality and stuff, but they're not as compatible as some of those other systems here. And that leads me to our other ones here. At first, a PGYTech one, which I really like the design of that and also the material, because as you can see on the Peak Design, for example, it's already a bit worn off here. Like you see it's silver and not black everywhere. And here I think that wouldn't happen that fast, and even if it happens, it doesn't look as bad because it kind of fits the design of that one. And what's also nice about the PGYTech one, which by the way is called Beetle camera clip, is that it is compatible with all plates. Like also here, for example, the F38 fits perfectly inside. Perfect. The UKA from Ulanzi fits perfectly inside. Also the Peak Design camera plates and stuff, it all fits perfectly here. The only downside of it is really if you want to attach it to your belt, either or especially with the Peak Design Pro pad, so it hangs down, that you have like this opening mechanism here to attach it to whatever you want, and it kind of gets fiddly because then essentially that part here on the back is behind you and either the Pro pad or your belt, and that makes it a bit fiddly. So this is more designed for backpack straps than attaching it to your belt. And next one is the Ulanzi UKA one, which also looks pretty solid overall, and I like how it attaches to your belt or strap. But the thing is, like, you're a bit limited here, because when I open that, it's like on left side at least, I can only expand it into one size. So if, let's say, your backpack strap is a bit thicker or a bit thinner than that, then it might either move a bit up and down, or it could be hard to snap in. It's not a big issue because you still have like 3 ways to adjust it. On the other side, actually 2, like the other one would be a bit too small for most applications. But I found it a bit limiting compared to the other systems that give you more options. And also compatibility wise, it does not fit with the Freewell camera plate, like that won't go inside at all. But it does fit with all the others as far as I remember, so it's overall also not a bad one to get. And let's do the Freewell first. We already had one Ulanzi, so we can do the other Ulanzi next. So the Freewell one here, it's actually at first quite nice to attach to your backpack, because it does it similarly to Peak Design, like you unscrew those screws here and then you just put it on your backpack, tighten it, and you're done. It's, I think, the easiest system. Not necessarily the nicest one, but it is the easiest, like, I mean, the nicest looking. And overall, I think the design compared to the Peak Design and the others is a bit worse. They could have worked a bit more on the design, but well, it's just overall not to look at it, but to carry your camera, right? And does that well. And this one also works with all quick release plates, so it does not matter which one you bought before, even Peak Design. Well, let's try, for example, here the PGYTech one. Works perfectly, or here the F38 works perfectly, or what else do we have? The UKA, even that works. So all good, you can use it with all other systems, so that's a safe one to get no matter what camera plate you have. And let's come to Ulanzi again. That's the F38 Falcon one here. Like Ulanzi has the UKA and this one here, 2 systems essentially. And I have to say, this one here is a really nice one. There's one little quirk though. So at first, it also works with all plates. So here, PGYTech, perfect, awesome. Also here, what else do we have? Freewell one, let's try the Freewell one. Also works perfectly, you see. And similarly to the Freewell tripod clamps, this one here also has a lever that reaches over the quick release plate, the camera plate, sorry. And that means that it does not shake at all. Like the other plates would shake a little bit, even the Peak Design one, which is fine, by the way. Like if it like moves a millimeter or so, that's okay, because it's just there to carry your camera, but nothing would fall out or so. But it's just a bit nicer, you know, like it's perfectly snug here. And when it comes to the attachment to your backpack strap or your belt, it's like you open that here, and then you see you have this strap thing here, so you can essentially wrap that around your backpack strap. So on one side, I think that is a nice system because it is a little bit more flush. It doesn't pressure much on your chest. It's supposed to be a bit more comfortable, but I think that the strap might wear over time, so you might have to replace it in the future. Not a big issue, but you might want to check it every time before you put your back on or so, that everything here is okay, because otherwise it could cause your camera to fall down. Just why I see it more like a disadvantage of this system here, while it comes with good intentions, like they want to make it comfortable for you. So when it comes to the backpack strap clamps, I find it a bit difficult. On one side, like I used the PD really long and it was never really an issue, but I know it's not as compatible as all the other systems. So when it comes to compatibility, I would go for either PGYTech, Ulanzi or Freewell. It really depends on you, and I think if the price and the compatibility doesn't matter that much, then maybe go for the Peak Design. It's also a bit smaller than the rest. And if compatibility and price is an issue, then one of the others, whatever you just like the most. So much about the camera strap clips. Let's come to the shoulder strap clips now, which is actually a bit easier because all that I've tested work with all camera plates, and that's great. Now I have to say, Ulanzi did not send me the UKA one, so I have not been able to test that here, but I expect it to be similar to the other ones when it comes to compatibility. And Peak Design also does not have such a plate, so just remember that. But aside from that, I think it doesn't really matter which of those 3 here, like Peak Design, Freewell or the Ulanzi F38 one you choose, because they are all compatible. They all do the same thing. everything, and they all also overall look really solid. However, if I have to give it to one, I would prefer the PGYTech one here, because there, to unlock the camera plate, you would have to press from both sides at the same time. So it's kind of more security. Like if you press only from the right side, it does not go out, only from the left also not. You have to press both. And that is kind of like an additional layer of security in this system here. Of course, like in others, you have here, for example, on the Ulanzi one, that you can move the switch down, which is also an additional layer of security. And the same goes also for the Freewell. But I prefer that here because it's less likely that you get pressure from both sides at the same time in exactly the same spot on that thing. However, I also have to say, when it comes to the Ulanzi one, I like that it has those attachment points for the camera strap at the top, which looks quite nice at first, and also they have a little bit of space behind for the strap, so it's completely flush with your body when you carry it. The Freewell therefore comes with this little thing here, so if you don't have a coin, for example, to screw your camera plates off if you need that on the go, then this one here has it. That's therefore quite nice. But overall, I find the design of the Freewell one a bit more simple, so I don't know, like I just prefer the PGYTech and Ulanzi one design-wise, but I think overall it does not matter which of those you get. Maybe just choose the one that you can get for the best price in your area. So ultimately, they all do the same and they're all compatible with all plates. So that was pretty straightforward. Let's wrap this up. So overall, I cannot emphasize it enough. If it comes to camera plates, buy only the F38 and ideally Peak Design compatible ones, because it just fits everywhere. You won't have any problems or any significant problems with any systems. And what I also would suggest you, if you're looking for a travel tripod that fits well, just get the Ulanzi one here or the Peak Design, because they fit both with the F38 plates as well, obviously, because this one here is F38. This is the Ulanzi and Coman 0F38 tripod. I mean, the Peak Design tripod is pretty expensive. It's like $600, while the Ulanzi one is half the price, so you might want to get that. But the Peak Design one gives you a lifetime warranty, which also makes it worth it. And the Peak Design travel tripod is more compatible with other systems. So let's say you use this tripod and there is another friend coming that maybe has a Freewell plate or a Peak Design plate or a PGYTech plate or so. They all fit inside this tripod here, but they won't fit into the Ulanzi F38 tripod. But overall, when it comes to those systems here, as long as you stick to the F38, then you're always safe. Your cameras at least can be mounted on everything that you will find, both in shops but also in case you want to use something from your friends. And by the way, I forgot to mention that I will also leave a PDF file in the description below with a table where you find all the compatibility between those systems. So if for whatever reason you have to or want to get another camera plate, for example, not the F38 one, then you can find in this table which is compatible with this plate. And if you want to know a bit more about all those different travel tripods, then check out this video here in the corner. There compare the 4, in my opinion, best ones out there on the market, including the one from Peak Design and also Ulanzi. So check this video out to learn more, and I see you there.